Back in the 80s, American trucks weren't just built tough. They were built to last, to haul, and to turn heads. But which ones have skyrocketed in value?
There are 4 dealers behind the wheel.
Ford has the most powerful lineup of V8 engines, gas and diesel, of any pickup. No wonder they're America's best-selling full-size pickups.
Which pickups from the Reagan era are now commanding insane prices at auctions and collector showrooms. Don't worry, we've done the digging, scoured auction records, and checked real-world resale values to bring you the top 10 most expensive American trucks of the 80s. And trust us, number 3 is a forgotten powerhouse that'll blow your mind. Before we jump in, smash that like button if you love classic trucks, and subscribe so you never miss our latest rankings and deep dives into automotive history. Now, let's hit the road. Now, restoring an 80s truck takes time, patience, and the right parts. Finding original trim, decals, or interior pieces can be tricky, especially for rare models. Many trucks need engine rebuilds, suspension fixes, or rust repairs after years of hard work. Costs can range from a few thousand for a simple refresh to over $30,000 for a full restoration. But if done right, these classics can sell for a lot more than the investment. For many, the real joy comes from reviving a piece of automotive history. So let's kick off our list with a true legend. Ask any truck enthusiast about a classic workhorse, and the 1988 Ford F-150 is bound to come up. Back in the late 80s, Ford was at the top of its game, refining the F-150 into an unbeatable combination of strength, reliability, and modern technology, at least for the time. That ad made it clear, this truck was built to last. But what really gave the 1988 Ford F-150 its legendary durability? Let's pop the hood and find out. Under the hood, the 88 F-150 had a variety of engine choices to suit different needs. The base model came with a reliable 4.9-liter inline-6, but if you need more grunt, Ford offered a 5.0-liter V8 and a 5.8-liter V8, and even a massive 7.5-liter V8. These engines produced between 145 to 230 horsepower, modest by today's standards, but more than enough to get the job done. Performance-wise, it wasn't built for speed, but with a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of 10 to 12 seconds and a top speed of around 100 miles an hour, it had plenty of muscle where it mattered. Buyers had a choice between a 4-speed automatic and a 5-speed manual transmission, allowing for either convenience or more driver engagement. One of the standout features of the 1988 F-150 was the introduction of electronic fuel injection across all engine options. This was a game changer, improving fuel efficiency, throttle response, and overall reliability compared to carbureted systems. Other technical highlights included a push-rod camshaft design, a cast-iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft, all built for durability. With a simple chain-driven timing system and a liquid-cooled setup, these trucks were designed to handle serious work for decades. But how much are these classic workhorses worth today? Well, back in the day, a brand new F-150 started at around $7,000, a fair price for a truck that could outlast almost anything on the road. Fuel economy hovered around 12 to 15 miles per gallon. Not great by today's standards, but typical for the era. What really makes this truck special, though, is its longevity. With proper maintenance, many of these trucks have surpassed 200,000 miles and are still running strong. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power praise the F-150 for its reliability. Even today, well-maintained models fetch over $10,000. Think the 88 F-150 is impressive? Well, let's take a step back to an even earlier legend that laid the groundwork for Ford's dominance. The early 80s were a turning point for trucks, and Ford knew it had to set the bar high. Meet the 1982 Ford F-Series, part of the 7th generation of America's favorite pickup. Under the hood, Ford kept things simple but effective. The standard engine was a tried-and-true 4.9-liter inline-6, known for its reliability and torque. If you needed more power, there were several V8 options ranging from workhorse to power horse. Performance wasn't its main selling point, but with a top speed of around 90 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 mile per hour time of about 15 seconds, it was more than capable for daily use and heavy-duty tasks. Transmission choices included a 3-speed automatic and a 4-speed manual, catering to both convenience and control. Technically speaking, the 1982 F-Series was built with durability in mind. The engine featured a push-rod camshaft design with 2 valves per cylinder, a cast-iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft. Components that made these trucks nearly indestructible. Depending on the trim, some models relied on carburetors, while others started incorporating early electronic ignition systems. Cooling was handled by a liquid-cooled setup, ensuring these workhorses could handle tough conditions. Price-wise, a new F-Series in 1982 started at around $4,425, a steal compared to today's prices. Gas mileage was about 10 to 15 miles per gallon, which wasn't exactly fuel efficient back then, but nobody was buying a truck for its economy. The real value of these trucks lay in their longevity. With proper care, many 1982 F-Series models have easily surpassed 200,000 miles, proving their toughness time and time again. Today, well-preserved examples can sell for over $10,000, and restored models are even more valuable. And if you love classic trucks that refuse to quit, hit that like button and subscribe for more legendary rides. Now, Ford wasn't alone in making durable pickups. Dodge had something just as tough. Enter the 1986 Dodge Ram. When you think of a Dodge Ram today, you probably picture a bold, muscular truck that dominates the road. But back in 1986, the first-generation Dodge Ram was still carving out its place in the pickup world. This was the truck that set the foundation for Ram's legacy. Built tough, designed to last, and packing enough power to take on anything. Under the hood, Dodge offered a mix of engines to suit different drivers. The base model came with a 3.7-liter inline-six, pushing out a modest 95 horsepower, while those who needed more muscle could opt for a V8 with up to 170 horsepower. Sure, by today's standards, that might not sound like much, but back in the 80s, it was more than enough for work and play. The truck had a top speed of around 90 miles per hour and could do 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 15 seconds. Again, not built for racing, but definitely built for hauling. Transmission choices included a 3-speed automatic and a 4-speed manual, giving drivers the flexibility they wanted. Mechanically, the first-gen Ram was as tough as they came. It had a push-rod camshaft setup with 2 valves per cylinder, a cast-iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft, materials that were built to last. Cooling was handled by a liquid-cooled system, and the engine management relied on carburetors or early electronic ignition systems. When it first hit the market, the 1986 Dodge Ram had a starting price of around $7,207, a solid investment for a truck that could take a beating and keep going. Fuel economy was what you'd expect from a tough truck of the era, hovering around 10 to 50 miles per gallon. But the real reason these trucks are still admired today? Their longevity. Many well-maintained first-gen Rams have easily surpassed 200,000 miles, proving just how well they were built. What made the 1986 Ram truly special, though, was its design. Dodge introduced a more modern look that would influence future Ram models, giving it a distinctive presence on the road. Today, these trucks are gaining value with well-preserved models selling for over $5,000. And that price will likely keep climbing as classic truck enthusiasts continue to appreciate the raw, no-nonsense appeal. But if you wanted something with a little more attitude and off-road flair, Jeep had just the thing. If you're a fan of classic trucks with attitude, the Jeep J10 Honcho is the kind of ride that gets your heart racing. Problem? Finding a real Honcho from 1986 is like finding a needle in a haystack. The package was officially discontinued in 1983, but some customized models still float around, making them rare and highly valuable today. The J10 itself was a powerhouse. It came with a choice of 2 solid engines, a 258 cubic inch 4.2-liter inline-six pushing out 112 horsepower, or a beastly 360 cubic inch 5.9-liter V8 cranking out 177 horsepower. Performance-wise, it wasn't the fastest truck out there, with a top speed of around 90 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 miles per hour time of about 15 seconds. But speed wasn't the point. This was a truck built for adventure, whether it was tearing through dirt roads or handling heavy-duty work. Transmission options included both manual and automatic for different driving preferences. From a technical standpoint, the J10 was built tough. Like most trucks of its time, it featured a push-rod camshaft with 2 valves per cylinder, a cast-iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft. The cooling system was liquid-cooled, and depending on the trim, it ran on either a carbureted setup or an early electronic ignition system. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power both noted its durability, with many of these trucks still running strong today. Back in the 80s, the J10's price varied depending on the trim and options, but today, a well-preserved model could fetch over $20,000. Some fully restored versions even go for much higher, especially if they carry the rare Honcho branding. Fuel economy was about what you'd expect for a truck of this size, somewhere in the range of 10 to 50 miles per gallon. But if you're buying a J10, you're not looking for fuel efficiency. You're buying it because it's a classic off-roader with a reputation for being nearly indestructible. But not all trucks were about brute strength. Some were made to dominate off-road. When you think of off-road pickups, you probably picture big, burly trucks built to crush the toughest trails. But back in 1989, Chevrolet decided to shake things up with something a little smaller but just as capable, the S10 4x4 Baja. This compact truck proved that size doesn't always matter when it comes to tackling rugged terrain. With aggressive styling, a lifted suspension, and serious off-road chops, the Baja edition of the S10 became a favorite among enthusiasts looking for an affordable yet capable adventure machine. But what gave this beast its off-road prowess? Let's take a look under the hood. Chevy offered two engine choices in the S10 Baja. The base model came with a 2.2-liter inline-4 producing 110 horsepower, while the real powerhouse was the 4.3-liter V6 pumping out 160 horsepower. That might not seem much today, but for a lightweight truck like this, it was enough to hit 100 miles per hour and go from 0 to 60 in less than 10 seconds. Transmission options included a 5-speed manual for those who love to row through the gears and a 4-speed automatic for easier driving. Underneath, the Baja was built to handle some serious punishment. It featured a pushrod camshaft with 2 valves per cylinder, a cast iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft. The truck's cooling system was liquid-cooled, and Chevy had already moved to electronic fuel injection by this time, making it more efficient and reliable than older carbureted trucks. Back in the late 80s, a brand new S10 Baja would set you back $5,150, a solid deal for those tough 4x4s. These days, well-maintained models can still fetch for over $5,000, especially since compact off-road trucks are becoming more collectible. Fuel economy wasn't bad for a 4x4, with an average of 15 to 20 miles per gallon. But the real draw of the Baja was its go-anywhere attitude. Many of these trucks are still roaming the backcountry today, proving that Chevy built them to last. But Chevy wasn't the only brand making trail-ready pickups. Jeep had its own beast. Back in the 80s, Jeep had already cemented its reputation for building unstoppable off-roaders, but with the Comanche, they decided to throw some muscle into the mix. The Eliminator trim took the already capable Comanche and made it even meaner, with a powerful inline-6 engine, a sportier look, and a performance that puts some sports cars of their time to shame. Today, these trucks are rare and highly sought after, making them one of the coolest sleeper pickups you can own. At the heart of the Eliminator was Jeep's legendary 4.0-liter inline-6, cranking out 177 horsepower and 224 pounds-foot of torque. For a mid-sized truck in the 80s, these numbers were impressive. It could hit 100 miles per hour and go from 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds, making it one of the quickest small pickups of its time. Transmission choices included a 5-speed manual for those who wanted full control and a 3-speed automatic for easier daily driving. Mechanically, the Comanche Eliminator was built like a tank. It featured a pushrod camshaft with 2 valves per cylinder, a cast iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft. It borrowed the XJ Cherokee's quadrillink front suspension, using coil springs and control arms on a solid axle. This setup gave it a smooth ride while still tackling off-road trails like a champ. In the back, it had a longer leaf springs than the Cherokee, boosting its payload capacity without making the ride too stiff. So whether hauling heavy loads or hitting the trails, the Comanche handled it all with ease. Back in the 80s, the price of a new Comanche Eliminator depended on the options, but today, these rare beasts could sell for over $10,000. And that number keeps climbing. Fuel economy was respectable for the time, averaging around 15 to 20 miles per gallon, but people didn't buy the Eliminator for its gas mileage. They bought it because it was a Jeep that could go fast, haul gear, and take a beating off-road. But what if you wanted something compact yet capable? The 1983 Ford Ranger had you covered. This was Ford's first attempt at making a compact pickup, and they absolutely nailed it. Built to be tough, affordable, and surprisingly capable, the first-gen Ranger set the stage for decades of success. Under the hood, Ford gave buyers a few engine choices. The base model had a 2.0-liter inline-4 pushing just 73 horsepower, not exactly a rocket, but good enough for light-duty work. A slightly stronger 2.3-liter inline-4 offered 79 horsepower, while the real upgrade was the 2.8-liter V6 with 115 horsepower. None of these engines were about speed, because 0 to 60 miles per hour took about 15 seconds, and the top speed was about 90 miles per hour, but they were built for reliability. Transmission options included a 4-speed manual for those who like to shift gears themselves, and a 3-speed automatic for convenience. So how did the Ranger handle the road and the trails? Well, mechanically, the Ranger was built to last, and it came with a rear-wheel drive as standard. But if you needed extra traction, a part-time 4-wheel drive option was available. Transmission options included a 4-speed manual, 5-speed manual, and a 3-speed automatic. It had a liquid-cooled system to keep things running smoothly. Built on a sturdy body-on-frame chassis, it shared some design traits with the F-Series. Up front, it used a twin I-beam independent suspension, while the rear relied on classic leaf springs. Stopping power came from front disc brakes and rear drums. The wheelbase measured 107.9 inches with a curb weight between 2,526 and 3,000 pounds. When it first hit dealerships, the 1983 Ranger was a steal. The base model started at just $3,500, with higher trims reaching around $5,975. Today, well-maintained first-gen Rangers can sell for over $5,000, especially since they're becoming classic collectibles. Gas mileage was pretty decent for a truck, averaging 15 to 20 miles per gallon, but the real selling point was its practicality. It had a payload capacity of up to 1,600 pounds, making it a great work truck in a smaller package. Of course, full-size trucks were still king, and few did it better than the 1988 Chevrolet CK. Back in the late 80s, Chevrolet wasn't just building trucks, they were crafting legends, and the 1988 Chevrolet CK was one of them. This truck was the first of Chevy's GMT 400 series, introducing a modern aerodynamic design and improved durability that would shape the pickup industry for years to come. Whether you needed a farm truck, a worksite warrior, or just a daily tough driver, the CK was built to do it all. And then some. Under the hood, Chevy offered a range of engines to fit every kind of driver. The lineup included a 4.3-liter V6 for those who wanted decent fuel economy, a 5.0-liter V8, and a 5.7-liter V8 for more power, and a 7.4-liter V8 for the heavy-duty haulers. Horsepower ranged from 160 to 230 horsepower, depending on the engine choice. With a top speed of around 100 miles per hour and a 0 to 60 time of 10 to 12 seconds, it wasn't the fastest truck, but it was built for hard work, not racing. Chevy gave buyers the option of a 4-speed automatic and a 5-speed manual transmission. Technically, the CK had a pushrod camshaft with 2 valves per cylinder, a cast-iron engine block, and a forged steel crankshaft. Cooling was handled by a liquid-cooled system, and Chevy had moved to electronic fuel injection, making it more efficient and reliable than previous carbureted models. Consumer Reports and J.D. Power praised the CK for its dependability, helping solidify its reputation as a truck that could go well past 200,000 miles with proper care. When it hit the market, a base model CK started at around $7,000, but prices climbed quickly with better trims and options. Today, a well-maintained 1988 CK can sell for over $10,000, and custom builds or restored models fetch for even higher prices. Fuel economy wasn't a strong suit, averaging 10 to 15 miles per gallon, but for a truck built to haul, that was expected. So why do people still love the 1988 CK? Simple. It's a truck that refuses to die. Whether you see one on a job site or at a classic car show, this Chevy is a reminder of an era when trucks were built tough and built to last. But what if you wanted muscle car power in a pickup? Meet the 1989 Dodge Shelby Dakota. Carroll, Shelby, and Dodge. It's not a combination that immediately comes to mind, but back in 1989 they teamed up to create something special. Long before the Ram TRX and the Ford Raptor, this was one of the first true muscle trucks. A pickup that would leave sports cars in the dust. Under the hood, Dodge ditched the usual V6 found in the Dakota and stuffed in a 5.2-liter V8 that cranked out 175 horsepower and 270 pounds-foot of torque. That might not sound like much by today's standards, but in the late 80s, it was enough to hit 120 miles per hour and go from 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds. lightning fast for a pickup at the time. The only transmission available was a 4-speed automatic tuned for performance. Shelby made sure this wasn't just another Dakota with a V8. The truck got a lowered suspension, upgraded wheels, and a sportier appearance package. A liquid-cooled system and electronic fuel injection kept things running smoothly. When it first hit the market, the Shelby Dakota cost around $15,000, a premium price for a mid-sized truck in the 1989. Today, though, collectors go wild for them, with well-preserved models selling for over $50,000. It wasn't exactly fuel efficient, averaging 10 to 15 miles per gallon, but that was never the point. But when it comes to jaw-dropping, head-turning trucks of the 80s, nothing, and we mean nothing, compares to this final monster. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you probably remember Bigfoot, the legendary monster truck that crushed cars and thrilled crowds. Well, Ford decided to bring that monster truck energy to the streets with the 1987 Ford Bigfoot Cruiser. Based on the rugged Ford F-250, this beast was built to be a head-turner, mixing raw power with a kind of lifted stance that made it look like it could run over anything in its path. At its heart was a massive 7.5-liter EFI V8 cranking out 460 horsepower, an insane number for a truck at the time. This brute of an engine could push the Bigfoot Cruiser to 100 miles an hour and get from 0 to 60 in about 10 seconds. Power was sent through a heavy-duty automatic transmission built to handle the torque of this monster. Mechanically, the Bigfoot Cruiser was a true off-road beast, built with a rugged 4x4 system to conquer tough terrain effortlessly. It came with a factory suspension lift, usually around 3 inches, with heavy-duty shocks for bigger tires and better ground clearance. Some owners even took it further with a 4-inch lift kit. Rolling on massive 33 or 35-inch tires, this truck was ready for adventure. It also packed serious extras like a winch, a custom front bumper, a roll bar with extra lighting, and dual fuel tanks for long-haul durability. Back in the 80s, the price of a Bigfoot Cruiser wasn't publicly listed since it was more of a custom-built vehicle than a mass-produced truck. Today, however, if you can find one, expect to pay top dollar. One of these beasts went for a whopping $70,000 on April 7th, 2023, over at Bring a Trailer. But not every deal breaks the bank. A different one sold for just $9,000 on October 27th, 2024, on the same site. Now, that's a price gap. And that's a list of the most expensive American trucks of the 80s. Do you think these classics are worth their price tags, or are they just nostalgia-fueled hype? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, if you love classic trucks and cars, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more epic automotive rankings. Want more timeless machines? Click here to check out our video of the 20 most reliable cars with forever lasting engines of the 70s. You don't want to miss it.